Hey, how's it going? Jeff, Jerina here, and welcome to episode 70 of the Men Unplugged show. On today's show, I want to go over a few things that I learned here in 2018, give you a quick teaser about one of my discipleship series, and then to wrap up today's episode, I'm going to go through some quick but important thank yous, then give you a sneak peek into 2019, and then wrap it all up with two important calls to action. So without any further ado, let's jump into that right now.
Welcome to Men Unplugged with your host, Jeff Jerina. Get ready to plug in and recharge your life as Jeff visits with influential Christian leaders, helping you experience the life you were truly meant to live.
So in terms of what I learned or actually had reaffirmed in 2018, I'm just going to list three things here. There's a lot that the Lord has really impressed upon me this year, but really in the essence of time, I'm just going to go over three. And the first thing that God has really shown me this year is that you can never underestimate the value of wisdom. And number one, the value of biblical wisdom. Secondly, the value of wisdom from others. Getting that coaching or mentoring from somebody else that has already gone down a path that you're trying to go down, but yet whatever struggles or trials or resources that they've used, they've actually discovered a way to gain victory in that particular path. By having that, you can take some serious shortcuts. You can avoid some of those mistakes, those pitfalls that maybe you never saw before because you didn't have somebody giving you this guidance. And that's one of the biggest benefits. I really think the greatest strength of this show, and that's when I'm bringing on these top Christian leaders week in and week out, discussing these topics, these issues that we all deal with, and really hashing them out in a way that's real, that's authentic, that's practical, that you can apply this wisdom every day of your life. And here's the best part. I know I've said this before, but all of that wisdom is free. Where else can you get that? And another thing that was reaffirmed to me this year is the importance of dreaming big. And I would add to that, not just dreaming, but actually trying to fulfill those dreams. If you think about it, if you swing for the fences and you only come up with a double or a triple, you're still on base. Now, trust me, I know that you don't always connect. Sometimes you strike out, you get hit by the pitch, or to use a basketball analogy, you just get stuffed. But here's the thing. If you never take the shot, you never have a chance of making it. So as I reflect back on the start of this journey that I'm on right now here with you on the Men Unplugged show, so as I reflect back on the start of this journey that I'm on right now with you on the Men Unplugged show, it blows me away when I think about how far God has taken me in my life and how far I truly believe He wants to take you when you dream big. Just thinking about some of these mammoths of faith that I've had a chance to lock arms with, to share life lessons with, and practical tips in a way that has hopefully encouraged and equipped you week in and week out, has reminded me of this truth. And the last thing that the Lord has really affirmed to me in a big, big way is that no matter what it takes to see your plans through, whether it's a dream that you have, maybe it's a struggle that you're trying to overcome, whatever it is in your life, don't give up. See it through. Finish what you start. And one of the verses that I really leaned on heavily this year is Ecclesiastes 7:8. It says, finishing is better than starting. Now, some translations say the end of the matter is better than the beginning. How true is that, right? I mean, I have found that over and over again in my life. And one of my favorite quotes that I've shared on several other episodes is from a guy named Og Mandino. He says, I will persist until I succeed. Now, I want to say here is that what that quote is really talking about, and something I believe in, is that success is not measured by just money alone. It could be a lot of things. That success for you could be, as I said, some issue you're dealing with. Maybe it's a temptation you're trying to overcome. Maybe it's a new career that you're trying to start. Or maybe it's some type of personal development. For me, one of mine years ago was graduating seminary. Finally did that in 2016 by the grace of God and a lot of encouragement from my wife. And then the second one was the publishing of my upcoming book. And this book is one that's going to help you accurately and confidently share the gospel with anyone you come across, regardless of your background, your experience, education, fears, whatever. Now, I wanted to get it out here in 2018. I've had to push it back to January or February 2019. And you know the biggest reason I had to push that back? I had other things that just kept getting in the way. Even though I made it a priority, I didn't make it a top priority because I never wrote that goal down. So one of the things I'm doing here in 2019 is I'm writing my goals down. Again, that book's going to be published in January or February of 2019. So that means to be one of the first to get a physical discounted copy of that book endorsed by top Christian leaders, make sure you're part of the email list. And the easiest way to do that is to go to our website at menunplugged.net, click the button that says sign me up, stay informed, and there's even a button that says download free book. And when you do that, I'm going to send you a free PDF copy of my other book as well. Now, please know that I wasn't sharing those accomplishments as a way to boast or say, hey, look what I did. That's not my intention at all. It's really just to show you some of the things that you can do by not giving up, by continuing to persist. And for me personally, by me getting out of the way, God moved some of those big mountains in my life and allowed me to launch and run Men Unplugged. So with that said, I want to give you a quick look at that discipleship series that I spoke about at the beginning of this episode. And the way that I'm going to do that is play about 10 to 15 minutes of a speech that I gave several weeks ago where I spoke on part one of this 3-part series. Now you're going to notice that the audio is a little lower. So you may want to turn the volume up when it starts. I don't know how it's going to sound on your end, but I want to give you that fair warning. But I wanted to play this for you because I think it's so fitting as you get ready for a new year. And here's a quick overview of this speech and what you'll get from it, as well as how the entire study will help you or anyone else that you know grow deeper in your relationship with God, understand how your fears can not only hold you back, but be an opportunity to display courage, and ultimately be encouraged and equipped to take those steps of faith in your life, knowing that when you do that, the Lord will see you through. Taken from 3 passages in the New Testament, this study on the life of Peter is a great resource for men's events, seminars, retreats, or really for anyone in your church that wants to go that next step in their faith. If you're at a place that you can take notes right now, the passage that I'm talking about in this clip is Matthew 14, 22 through 33. Have you ever known anybody else to walk on water other than Jesus and Peter? If you have, raise your hand. Nobody? Awesome. I haven't either. Okay, so we're going to look at here is the factors that gave Peter the courage to walk on the water, the reasons he began to sink, and the cause of his rescue. Before we read the text, I just want to set the scene here for you. The disciples just witnessed, if you look at the passage before that, just witnessed one of the greatest miracles that Jesus performed. Right? He fed the 5,000. And I would argue here, if you look at let's look at verse 21 here real quick. I would argue that's more than that. Look at verse 21. Now those who had eaten were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Does that not tell you right there was more than 5,000? Yeah. So let's just think here in conservative estimates. Let's just say there's half of the women there, another 2,500. And let's just say each one of those women that were there had one child. So we could say, 10,000 possibly? Or more? That's a big number. So Peter and the disciples there had witnessed one of the greatest miracles. Right after that, Jesus had told them to go in this boat into the Sea of Galilee on the other side, right? Because he needed to go in prayer. He needed to spend time with his Father. So now let's get into the text. Verse 22. Immediately, Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now when evening came, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now in the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went to them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It's a ghost." And they cried out for fear. But immediately, there's that word again, immediately, Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I, do not be afraid." Verse 28, and Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it's you, command me to come to you on the water." So he said, "Come." And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Lord, save me." I'm going to say it, actually I want to say it again, the way he said it. "Lord, save me!" Exclamation point. And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. Then those who were in the boat came and worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." Basically, even though the disciples were with Jesus every day and they saw him perform miracles every day, they had nothing to compare it to. Everything that he did was just blowing their mind, rocking the world. They never saw anybody could do these things. When they saw this image on the water, they're not thinking that's Jesus. They didn't know it was possible. They never thought about walking on the water. They've never heard of anybody doing it. They've never seen it done before, so they're going to have doubts. Okay, the other thing I want you to think about here is they were in a storm, right? In a very big storm. And so the metaphor here is, for us, is we're all, a lot of times, are in a storm. Maybe you yourself, you have some difficulty, some trial, some circumstance that you're looking at and you're like, there's no way I'm going to get out of this thing. It seems like it just goes on and on. But I want us to see Peter here as the individual that we can be in a good sense. And that is, Peter was the only one that, number one, asked the question. And we're going to see here in a moment, he was the only one who had the courage to get out of the boat, to have the faith, to trust the Lord. While the other 11 disciples were in the boat just sitting there going, is he going to drown? What is going to happen here? As we just sit back here and look at the 11 disciples, have you ever been one of those individuals that you've been sitting back watching somebody else go, man, they're out there living their dream. Come on. They are doing what the Lord has called them to do. And are you sometimes waiting, I wonder if they're going to fail? I wonder if there's something else that's going to happen. And you're saying to yourself, why can't I do that? Why can't I live out those dreams? I'm in this storm. Why can't I get out of it? But yet that individual, they're trusting in the Lord. I want to go back here a second to what they saw when Jesus had fed those 5,000 plus people. It just happened. It wasn't just a moment ago that it just happened. But yet, how quickly they doubt what God has done in their life. How many of you, and I'm just talking myself here, I see the Lord do some miraculous work. I see the Lord deliver me from something, and then the next trial comes in my life, and I forget that He got me through those other trials. Why do we do that? Peter stepped out of the boat. He's walking on the water. Now, I got to tell you, if I'm Peter, here's what's going on in my mind. Number one, I'm actually doing this. I'm actually doing this. The text doesn't say he looked back. The text doesn't say that, okay? But I got to be thinking he looked back and said, hey, guys, fellas, check it out. Look what I'm doing. You're not doing it. Or maybe in his mind he was thinking that, right? Don't you wish you had the faith, the courage to do what I'm doing right now? Because I'm the water walker, right? Don't you know he was thinking that? And here's the other thing. It doesn't say how long he walked on the water, how many steps he took before he started to fear. He could have taken 5. He could have taken 100. He could have taken 1,000. I like to think that he took 1,000. And the reason why I like to think that is he had the boldness, the courage to get out. Peter was the one that Christ built the church on. Because he knew Peter, hey, even though he's failed at times, he's the guy that's impulsive, he's impetuous, but yet he's willing to take a risk and trust me.
Amen.
Make sense?
Yeah.
He's willing to get out of the boat when all those other 11 disciples are going, man, I don't know. See, courage is not, I want you to get this here. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's not. Because if fear wasn't there, it wouldn't be courage.
Amen.
Courage is doing something in the presence of fear, knowing that when you place your focus on the author, the one who can demolish fear, you can do anything. Yes, we have the greatest gift in salvation. The greatest freedom. But God doesn't want to just give us that freedom and stop there. The freedom is every single day after that.
Amen.
More and more and more. If we truly caught the gospel, I'm telling you, people, non-believers would be so happy and excited to go, what do you have? That's what I want. Yeah. I want that. I can have that every day. I'm going to come up to my next point here. I want us to go here. Peter's walking on the water. He's excited. He's going, man, this is cool. And I wonder if this thing crept in his mind. Guys, look what I'm doing. I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. Check out that I'm the one walking on the water. Mm-hmm. And he was forgetting who was making him walk on the water. That's right. Allowing him to walk on the water. He was forgetting it was the Lord. So he was walking on the water. He's like, I'm doing this all on my own. He looked to the left. He looked to the right. Whoa! Saw these waves. Man, I don't know. How am I doing this? Whoa! Next thing you know, doubt crept in. Sank. Because he realized, yeah, I was walking on water, but I didn't know how to walk on the water with the storms, with the waves. I didn't know how I could manage that part. I never thought about that. I didn't put that into the equation. Remember, this is a new equation here. Walking on water was new. He was managing that part. Now something came into the formula. Whoa, there's a storm. I can't manage that. So he kept it. He took his eyes off of who?
Jesus.
The Lord. Jesus. And then he started to sink, and immediately he caught it this time. He caught it. Who is it's going to bail me out? The Lord. He caught it. Isn't it funny how when we really need to get bailed out, we remember it's Jesus. Amen. But when we think maybe I got it by myself, maybe I can get through this storm, we forget it. We forget Him. You guys ever get like that? And so you just keep plowing through. You start talking to your buddies. You start to talk to your family. You're looking for their advice, their opinions, their solutions. And they're giving you man-made directives. Yeah. Solutions to the problems. That all God wants us to do is go to Him in prayer. Read His Word. He says, I have the answer. The solution. I'm going to bail you out. Because I bailed you out every time before. Jesus immediately saved him, put him back in the boat. Actually, before he put him in the boat, he said what? Oh, you of little faith. Why did you doubt? Now here's interesting. I think that question right there, that statement that Jesus had, I think we can say there's probably multiple things in that statement. Number one, Jesus was saying, why did you doubt when I just fed all those people? Why did you doubt when you were just walking on water? Why did you doubt that it was me, the only one who can do that, the only one who can calm the storm? And then I think he was making that, I'm speculating here, I think he said it loud enough to the other disciples could hear. Why did you doubt? And they could hear it like, whoa. They were the biggest doubters of all, weren't they? As we fix our eyes on Jesus, we focus on Him through our storms. Now, I'm here to tell you the first one, it's hard to do, right? Some storms seem insurmountable. Faith requires an act of courage. You look all through the Bible. Peter stepping out of the boat, walking on water, it took an act of faith. David going against Goliath. Wasn't that a big act of faith? All the other Israelites, they weren't going to do it. Here's this shepherd boy going, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I got the Lord on my side. I'm going to take a step forward, an act of faith to show my courage, and bam, it's going to be taken care of. Noah built the ark. Here's this desert. There's no water. Didn't that take a big act of faith to do this? Joshua and Caleb. Remember Joshua and Caleb? They were there. They said, we can win this battle here. They didn't do it together. They didn't say, hey, let's go together. They individually went and said, yes, we can defeat. All the other 10 couldn't. So the point here is that, yes, the Lord will see us through. He will deliver us. But it takes us doing our part as well, and that's taking a step forward.
Amen. An
act of faith.
Amen.
And there's another act of faith. Every time you do that, it's courage. Is there anything in your life right now that you're like, man, I have to take a step of faith forward? Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip. To find out how you can get all 3 parts of this series for your personal study, men's event, or church, make sure you sign up for our email list at menunplugged.net. And when you get an email from me, let me know you're interested in purchasing the series or that you'd like to book a time for me to speak at your church or event. Now, going forward into next year, I would love to get your feedback about the show and how the show has impacted you personally. In terms of your testimonial, it could be as short as 2 to 3 sentences or an audio message that you send me a link to. When you join the email list, you'll be one of the first ones to hear about our next major move at Men Unplugged, something that I'm really excited about, and our first live fundraising event happening in the spring of 2019. Okay, I could go on and on here, but out of respect for your time, I want to wrap up today's show by giving you 2 calls to action. And here's the first one. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the Men Unplugged email list. Here's the second and final call to action. Consider supporting the show in 1 of 3 ways. Number 1, financially. To make your year-end donation, go to the support page on our website to give any amount today. You can also support the show as a short or long-term sponsor. Secondly, by telling others about Men Unplugged. Tell your buddies, tell your coworkers, your classmates, tell your pastor at your church so he can share this valuable information. And lastly, you can support the show through your prayers. All right, as I wrap up today's episode, I want to say thank you for listening to the show. If you've supported Men Unplugged in some way this year, whether it's financially, positive feedback, or through your prayers, I really, really appreciate all that you've done for us. And to all my guests this year, thank you for your time, wisdom, and your encouragement. And lastly, to my wife and kids, thank you for your encouragement, your patience, and your support. So as we close out 2018 here at Men Unplugged, be on the lookout for the next episode. It's going to be probably sometime around the 2nd to 3rd week of January. Who knows? I may even drop in another episode before then. Until next time, stay plugged in and recharged. God bless.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. There's plenty more to see at menunplugged.net, including key resources and ways to engage with Jeff in his training and speaking forums. While there, don't forget to subscribe and receive a free gift. We look forward to you joining us next time here on the Men Unplugged Show.